What's up, friends? Welcome in to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. And thanks for listening as well to ESPN Kansas City. With Dan Courtwright, I am Sean Kellerman. It's a beautiful Thursday here in Lawrence. A couple days until KU and Cincinnati do battle. Game 2 of the Big 12 season. We're going to have all sorts of content today for you on the show, starting with offensive coordinator Jim Zebrowski here in the opening segment. Coach Z is about as charismatic a guy that there is.
I love talking to him.
We talked about this before, but the kind of yin and yang with Zebrowski and McDonald, the law firm, if you will. Just different type of personalities, both fantastic with the media, just in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's great. You can tell Zebrowski's always been up since like 3 a.m. because he's done talking to us at like 11:45, and he's like, "Have a good night, guys."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
he's up late watching film. I would do a top 10 like KU staffers that I want to have a beer with, but everybody knows it's number one. It's going to be Jim Zebrowski.
Yeah.
He's an excellent guy to talk to.
Yeah, he is for sure. KU's coaches as a whole are great with the media.
Oh, they're always awesome.
We've enjoyed them, but yeah, we heard from DK in the open of the show yesterday, so we're going to hear from Coach Z today. Of course, running game, a big topic, so he'll touch on that as well as some other things, some keys for KU to have success against Cincinnati's defense. And then after that, we're going to hear from Bryce Foster. Really interesting. Had a long sit down with Bryce. Dan, I thought a really testament to Bryce's leadership. He mentioned, without even being provoked by a question from anybody in the media, how he had actually called Coach A aside and wanted to do his own individual film session, I guess, if you will, to see what he needs to do better. He said he's played pretty well, he thinks, but not up to his standards. I just think that shows the leadership from one of the 3 season-long captains.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Bryce Foster, talk about a guy who's good with the media, right? I mean, he's just another character like that, but also just a bona fide leader. And I think that he has really stepped into this role in such a quick way as well. I mean, if you would look at Bryce Foster, you'd think this is a guy who's been here for 6 years. He's only been here for 2 years, and he's really stepped up as a leader and really taken it upon himself to be that guy in that offensive line room, because you kind of have to do that when you're the center, right? I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but the center is essentially the quarterback of the offensive line room. They know what every single guy on the line is doing at all times. They are the ones who have to call out, hey, the mic's blitzing here, or they're doing a stunt here, that kind of thing. So the center has to really take that extra time to watch that extra film and understand what's going on the defensive front. It's really cool, the fact that he pulled aside Coach Derek Paulsa and said, "Hey, I want to do this. Like, I want to watch extra film, and I want to, check and see what exactly they're doing." Because Henry talked about it yesterday. Kansas, in terms of just history against the 3-3-5 kind of front, hasn't had a lot of success. I mean, they've had success in recent history, the last couple of times they've seen a 3-man front, but before that, absolutely not. So it is really exciting to see that.
Yeah, it is. And of course, K-State, Iowa State, the teams that come to mind. And Coach Z talked about that, how they've seen it in the past, and that's kind of a similar setup for what Cincinnati will throw at Kansas, 11 a.m. on Saturday. So yeah, we'll hear from Bryce, and then we get to hear from KU soccer coach Nate Lee. We mentioned this yesterday as well, but Nate Lee, one of those guys who seems very friendly. We know he's got a family that's beloved already by the Kansas community, already had a ton of success his first season, but also doesn't settle for mediocrity.
That's right.
He asks for a lot from his girls. He's going to talk about a huge night tonight and weekend in general for KU soccer. They've got Baylor at Rock Chalk Park tonight, and then a rematch of the Big 12 championship game against TCU, who's ranked number 10 in the country, on Sunday. Make sure you get out and support those Kansas women who have not lost this season. 7-0-2, ranked number 14 in the country, ranked as high as number 9, depending on the poll that you look at. So shout out again to the great job that Nate Lee is doing. Of course, he came over from Xavier a couple years ago. And then, the 5 o'clock hour, Dan, we are going to do a fantasy draft that I feel like you have a slight edge on due to your ability to sit on the couch for hours on end and watch one movie after another. We are doing a fantasy draft of Villans.
That's right.
But as always, there's got to be a twist.
Yeah, well, so it's a fantasy draft of Villans, but it's to play football. So we're going to be going quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, and defensive player. We're not going to do head coach. Also, Sean, I do have an advantage on you because a lot of times when you do this, you tend to go really personal. You're like, oh, I know a good villain. It's my old neighbor from 2011
Is
who
that
lived
true?
upstairs. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, well,
Hated that
remember,
guy.
dude, don't you remember Michaeling a beer? Like that was the most
Oh,
insane
come
pick
on.
you've ever.
That was my family loved it, by the way.
I'm sure they did. Do you know how many listeners we
Hey,
have that aren't your family?
seriously though, you need to remember. I mean, you are going to remember that. You're going to remember
I
that
will.
when you're
We
sitting.
were hanging out the other day. You Michaeled a beer.
I did not Michael a
You
beer. No, I
Michaeled
didn't.
the hell out of that
No,
beer.
I did not. I promise you I did not. I always make sure to go back to it. Sometimes I will crack another beer while I still have some, but I always
Sure.
make sure to finish that beer
Which, by the
before I
way,
take a
that's
drink.
what Michaeling a beer means.
No, Michaeling a beer is not finishing your beer and then just leaving it and going to get a cold one. So like you stand up from the bar or whatever, and you see the person next to you has tabbed out and
Deep by
left,
that
and they got to
much.
be it's
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
I
fair
just
enough.
don't. Then not cool.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway,
draft
yeah.
Villains to play football though.
All right. Yeah,
I'm
fair
excited
enough.
about
We'll
that
see
one.
how it goes. We're talking KU volleyball after that. Ryan White and Reece Ptacek were at the podium earlier this week. They've got a big weekend here at home. Nice seeing the campus here at KU get a little action in terms of matches. They've got the Arizona swing, but they come to us this year. ASU tomorrow night, and then Arizona on Sunday. Sold out at the Horse Family
That's right.
Volleyball Arena. And then we got to close out with Thursday Night Football game picks. It's not as putrid of a matchup as we have on Monday night, which is Jets Dolphins.
Can't wait.
Yeah, the Seahawks and the Redbirds tonight. So we'll give a few game picks on that. We're going to hear from Coach Zebrowski, but I was talking to you a little bit before the show, Dan, about how my daughter, who I love, I think
right.
it's also National Daughters Day
Ah,
today. So this
happy
is a
National
good time.
Daughters Day.
It's a good time to bring that up.
Look at that.
So she lovingly has not been sleeping through the night,
Oh,
which has
that's
been great
so nice
because
of
that
her.
means that I have not been sleeping through the night. And I do want to also shout out one of our producers today, Elijah Schmidt. This dude gets up very early, drives in from
Yes,
Perry.
that's
So
right.
no one understands overnight I guess activity in general than more than Elijah Schmidt. But anyway, so my daughter's in that adorable phase. You know, she's 2. She'll just wake up, and it doesn't really matter what time it is. She'll go out into the hall and she'll turn the light on and start coloring. I'm like, it's 3 a.m.
Yes.
Like, you need to go to bed.
Right.
So
Which
anyway,
I do that too. Like I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and start coloring as well.
Of
But
course.
That's,
Right. Well, this is actually like she's awake, not sleepwalking.
Sure. Right.
So she's up doing this, and anyway, so I went this morning. She never fell back asleep, whatever time it was. So I don't know how many hours I've been awake. But Friday, similar situation, trying to get her to stay in her big girl bed. So I was trying to get her to stay in her bed. It was like 11 p.m. on Friday, and then my wife was tapping me out, and I went downstairs. I'm like, all right, I need a break. So I'm like, all right, I've had 3 or 4 beers, we'll say,
Of course. Right.
and I'm sitting
well.
I'm sitting on the couch, and I turn on TV, and I never watch TV now. I mean, you have a dog, you understand how hard
Of
it is
course,
to sit
right.
down.
It's so
and,
hard.
Yeah,
To,
sit
I mean,
down and
just
turn on the TV.
My life might be harder than yours.
Yeah, it might be. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a couple more beers. I'm gonna turn on TV. So I turn on Hulu Live. And yes, we do use my mother-in-law's subscription.
Okay, I was about to say.
But I'm scrolling through the
Mr.
options.
Moneybags over here with Hulu Live.
I'm scrolling through the options. I'm like, all right, I got 2 legitimate options that I want to watch right now. One is The Kingdom, the Chiefs documentary from last year, and the other is Sister Sister,
Right.
which is a great Disney Channel show from when I was growing up, which you would say was back in the 1960s or whatever.
Then, yeah.
But yeah, so I've got to decide between The Kingdom and Sister Sister. So I start watching Sister Sister, and I'm it's just a good flick. I wanted to tune it in. So and I'm just the natural lights are flowing, all that. It goes on commercial. I flip back to The Kingdom. All right,
Sure.
Kingdom goes on commercial. We're beating up on somebody. Who did we beat in the game before the Bills last year?
No,
that was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
The Texans.
Texans.
So we beat the Texans in the divisional round, and that was kind of a ho-hum game. But anyway, go to commercial, flip back, Sister Sister, right? Go back. We beat the Bills 32-29. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, good game, bro, all that. Go back, Sister Sister, and then I go back, and then we're at the Super Bowl. So I'm locked in and all that, and I watch, and then the show ends because it's like right at midnight or something, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to flip back. And then I'm like, no, obviously Sister Sister ended too. And now I will never know if Tamara got into Michigan.
Oh my gosh. You're kidding.
I know. So don't
cliffhanger.
spoil it
I
for
won't.
me. But
I won't spoil this 25
I
year.
could not.
old TV
I
show for
could
you.
not figure it out. So I'm like, man, I just ruined Sister night by being tuned in. But
Now you'll
all
never
the
know.
great
It's
late
not like you
night
can like just
opportunities.
Google this,
See,
right?
I think that's what my daughter wants. She wants me to have these late night
Of
opportunities
course.
to stay awake, be up all hours of the night, and be able to have great content for our show.
Right, of
I
course.
mean, that's got to be
Yeah.
what it is.
I love that. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
or else
Yeah.
we wouldn't have had an open today.
Were you a Disney Channel guy or were you a Nickelodeon?
So I went back and forth between all of them. I was a Disney Channel guy. I was a Nickelodeon guy. I was a Cartoon Network guy, which like that was in my troublemaker phase, the Cartoon Network guy. But I dabbled in everything.
I was always Disney Channel. Even Stevens and Boy Meets World I think was on Disney at some point.
Yeah.
So I mean those are classics. But
see,
Sister was great.
I was a little later, so I was like a Sweet Life Zach and Cody, Hannah Montana kind of guy. That's So Raven.
That's right. Yeah,
That's
So Raven's a good one.
It's great.
Those songs still get stuck in my head.
That's So Raven.
Yeah,
no, it's great.
They still get stuck in my head. But I do want to officially. Moral of the story is Happy National Daughters Day to Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Let us know if Tamara got into Michigan.
Yeah, I can't tell. I was busy watching the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I shouldn't have even watched that because it ended poopy for us.
Yeah, why did you?
Why
did you
I
watch
should have
it?
flipped over to Sister. Anyway, we say all that to say let's hear from KU offensive coordinator Jim Zebrowski. Jim Zebrowski, who spoke to the media earlier this week.
Jim, it's been a couple years since you guys have played Cincinnati, but what have you seen maybe in the progress of the program?
They've done real physicality. They're really gaining. They're a physical team. Well, I watched that in Nebraska. I think we were in the hotel for one of our games watching them, and I thought I was impressed. Both sides of the ball. They look like a mature team. Play really hard, physical, both sides of the ball. So I thought that program is growing. And they're really good team.
It's maybe not clear if he's going to play, but what do you see from Corleone, the defensive tackle, who's supposed to be one of the best around?
He's good. Strong, physical, hard to move. Like he's a tough player. So yeah, we'll find out I guess come game day. But he's really he's physical. He's what you want. Physical and strong and tough and hard to block.
I guess broadly speaking, how do you feel about where you guys are at in the run game at this point?
Good. We showed signs of improvement. I think it was good. Obviously still room to improve, both throwing and running, obviously. But I feel like we made some good progress. Leishon was tricky to see a big run. That was a big one. A big thing to see is a big explosive run, and he blocked well. They made some people miss, and that's what we needed because Jalen had a couple, obviously too. It's going to help. Him running helps our run game. Obviously, it spreads it out. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with where it's going, the progress it's making.
Jalen's just a little bit off, like he was on Saturday, where he's a little high, a little low, missing things. What kind of conversation do you have with him? What's that process like?
Great question. Because I was talking to Coach Traz, coach at Company ET, who's on there, who I talked to on the phone, and I'm like, hey, just tell him to chill. I gotta take a deep breath. It's okay. And we still got the ball. I got back to rule 0. We didn't lose the ball. We still got it with us. It's okay. And a lot of times it's his feet. Sometimes he just rushes. And I think guys will sometimes rush. Maybe due to excitement or other thing, but they'll rush it. So he's rushing and his feet get a little sloppy and balls were just kind of all over. Even the short little screens are kind of high and low and so he's kind of it's like a baseball pitcher. So he might not have your great stuff, but you have enough stuff to keep us in the game. I thought he did a good job with that. So he kind of maybe the baseball guy kind of reverted back to that going. Sometimes whatever reason, it was funny watching him miss that. We were just laughing about yesterday. The second one of the escape throws he made that he always makes. I think he overthrew Canty. And he came off the field like this, he couldn't believe it actually happened. And I'm like, I felt the same way. Because that's so automatic for him. It's a great escape to his left. I think it was 3rd and 9 or something. He escaped, great mechanics, everything good. And I'm like, this is going to be huge because Canty was going to catch it and roll. And I'll say, I'm like, it's like one of those moments did that just happen? And he just got to go. When I saw him do this, I'm like, it's okay. I said, no, don't get mad. Hey, hang in there, man. We'll get better. And then it got better. And I don't know if maybe the hit helped him. I don't know. But it got done. But Joe, the guy after that, he threw the ball really well. But I think you just got to keep on hanging in there. So it's just kind of just hang it, just pop, refocus and refocus a lot.
How happy are you with what he is giving you with his life?
Oh, I'm very happy, especially in a game like that. What's interesting about West Virginia was they showed a lot of, like we talked about before, they showed a lot of pressure looks, and they didn't pressure us a ton, but then they dropped everybody. They kept playing some really multiple coverage of the back end, but then they didn't really take care of him. So you kind of like, if you're dropping 7 or 8 people and trying to cover everybody, well, then the quarterback becomes your check. I always tell the guy, you become a check down. It's like when you play 2-man teams. That's tough coverage. Third and long, but then no one's got you. So I thought that helped open up the game. Kind of got us alive and kicking, especially 2 back-to-back. A couple of those quarterback draws and escapes were huge. It kind of got them having to do some different things. Then we got some tempo modes and got rolling. So it's huge. I think it was a huge part of that game.
Given his injury history, and it hasn't been terrible, but it's been there. Does he have the green light to go whenever?
Yep.
Do you guys talk about that?
Nope. Well, it's crazy. I've told my son this too. I told I know you need to slide, but I see kids take worse hits sliding. Yeah. I don't mean that like wrongly. Don't you like it? I feel so bad. And he slid, right. And then he gets lit up, and then as the penalty, I get that target. But last I tell him he's got to get down. The thing about slide is like obviously if you can dive. Because the crazy thing about sliding right now is the refs are trying to be so cautious, which is good, that they think that kids start sliding, they're going to mark the ball. They're going to start marking it, which is really an interesting part too. So, we talk about it. We do. We say get down. We always take beat 1, split 2. And then last, you got to tell him to get down 2. I'm like, I do, but I'm like, I tell him to get down, and he gets. But we do. But he does have the green light, because I had some situations before back in the day with the Northern, with the kid named Chandler Harnish, and same thing that happened before I got there. It's like you start telling kids to be cautious to run. They actually run cautious. If that makes sense to you. So they kind of like, you just got to throw caution in the wind and say, hey, you're doing a great job with Coach Sleeve and you're rolling, just go play with you. Make great decisions, but just believe and trust yourself and go. Thankfully, it's been good so far. I hope we keep it going.
When you say beat 1, split 2, you're saying
defensively, make guy miss, you got to split them. If the 2 guys are coming, split them, beat 1. So he kind of he saw it. The good thing what he did, and then when you're in jail, he kind of got jailed there a little bit, I call it. You have nowhere to go. So that was a really good decision. Sometimes he would have done back in the day, would have done maybe not a great situation and gone. At that time, he's like, hey, I saw myself kind of, I call it a bad way to say it, but you're kind of jailed. You can't go anywhere anyway. It was a really good decision. I felt bad that he got lit up.
What have you seen from Enrique so far as he's kind of grown into this season?
I think weekly improvement. I thought he played. Daryl Coach Paul said it too. I thought he played really well this last game. I think Daryl said it too. It's one of our models offensively. He said you feel like that kid's playing free and fast. He's just playing free. Maybe it's all clicked in offensively, new offense, new scheme, and it just all started to make sense to him. He's just playing. So we just talked about that too out there. It's he's playing really well. So I think it's playing free and knowing what's going on.
You mentioned David's.
I'm joking on this.
DK mentioned that David's playing Ptacek. What have you seen from him so far this year in his development?
Confidence level going up with what we're doing offensively. Strong arm, sometimes early on, he'll kind of mechanically kind of drop some things a little bit. Now he's starting to get back on top of stuff and throwing. I think it's work team. I call it scout team, work team. Really helps you get so many reps down there and you're kind of free. You're just letting it rip and get back into that rhythm. And then Lance does a great job of having some situation where you get some young guy Skelly going or young guy situations going. He's done awesome. The improvement in his confidence level, strength with sleeve, and then just is watching the ball come out of his hands and not thinking so much. So I was excited, really excited, because he's a big, long kid that can run too.
It's another 3-down team this week. How would you kind of compare and contrast what you saw from West Virginia and their front versus?
They're more Cincinnati is more. You got to appreciate it's more Iowa State-like and K-State-like in terms of more. Well, I shouldn't say you never know what's going to happen. Come Saturday, more consistently a 3-down team, mixing a little bit of. They can mix those 4-down, but that's more where West Virginia is very multiple. They go 3, they go 4, they go under, they go all these different fronts. They're more, not that they can't do it, but they're more of the. When you guys see Iowa State a couple years ago, more of that 3 with some type of 3 high safety structure, but they can always change and do some different things. So that's what I see from them. Maybe the ends are a little wider, like 5 techniques instead of 4 high type situations, maybe a little wider than some of the, but you'll see more of a, I hate to say normal, more of that type of front with multiple blitz pressure packages also.
You've had a few games this year where Jalen hasn't had to finish it out. You've been able to Cole and Isaiah. Just how do you evaluate underneath that?
Lance and I talk. And really, the great thing about Coach Quarterback is the head coach usually tells you when. So he does. He's like, hey, or I'll mention it and he'll say yay or nay. So like the same thing happened. Right? We talked before. Maybe it was Fresno or Wagner. It was Wagner. When we didn't score at the end of the half, and scored the start of the third quarter. Kind of the same thing at the end of the third quarter. Was it sort of the end? When it was up 34, it could have went 41 right there, and they didn't hit the 4th and 1. Luckily, we got the ball back, I think, quickly, and then we put Cole in, but maybe one more, I can't remember. But, oh, no, LeSean scored after that. But it's like, again, a few more minutes of giving other kids a chance. I never get frustrated with our guys not getting. I feel bad for the other guys and more opportunities. So that's been good to get those guys. But usually I'll make a suggestion, the coach will make the yes or no. That's all. And he's always really good about it.
Jalen, get any input in that when he ready to come out?
I don't know. Lance never told me. Maybe Lance might talk to him on the side real quick and say, "You good?" No, but usually Lance would say something like after that, like, "Hey, if this happens, hey, we're gonna put Cole. Let's go with Cole and Isaiah." Or in a situation, something like, "Hey, we're gonna go back," and that's fine. They're always ready. The great thing about those two, well, all the guys, especially Cole and Isaiah, they're good to go whenever. So it's not really like a shock, and especially nowadays with helmets popping off and so on, they're all ready to go all the time.
You're playing up Daniel and the shape he's in going into the year, both just mentally and physically. How have you seen him deal with having a setback where he's got, can't finish a game because of him?
Yeah, well, the good thing is you see the maturity level. I feel like the maturity level of him handling it with a great attitude or positive. Like, hey, that's why I see the growth in him. I think I told you guys that at the start of the season, the growth, the maturity level of just being able to handle those kind of moments. I'm really impressed right now. He's had great spirits. He's smiling to practice and just, really good. Trying. Obviously, it's hard because it's like when Jalen got there a couple times. Hard when it keeps happening. It's like, or whatever happens, or you get a couple plays here and there. So I think his spirits are really good. So that's where I think I've seen his growth the most.
And with those other running backs behind LeSean, Johnny, and Aaron, what did you see from them, and how pleased are you with their own development?
It's really bad. I'm going to say this, but I don't even know when they went in. Honestly, like not a bad way because we trust them all. So he's rolled in, and LeSean took a break, and I had to go out. I didn't even know that Johnny ran or Stu, and that's not being mean. I'm like, that's a good compliment. I'm like, oh, there's not going to change how I call things or how we call things. So how we practice helps those guys. It really hasn't. Like I told you with Cole and Isaiah quarterback, sometimes when guys have been dinged up a little bit, it's bad, but it helps in practice, gets those guys a lot of reps in practice. And the way we practice, especially during fall camp, the all stuff gets those guys so many reps. I feel like they're really prepared when it's their time. So I felt like I didn't even notice if that's, I don't mean that wrongly either way, but that's a compliment to those guys going, hey, they lined up right, they're going, and so on and so forth, and let's go.
You've seen a variety of talent in your different fronts and stuff like that with the teams you played. When you look at your offensive line as a whole, how pleased are you with what they're doing in terms of dictating contact versus absorbing it, and what do you want to see?
I think it was good to see them more. It felt like we're more physical. Physical. I hate to say that word all the time, but more. We got down the hill a little bit more against West Virginia as the game got going a little bit. I thought that was a good thing. So that's where I hope that growth continues. I think that's where I talk about Enrique kind of shined a little bit and kind of felt like he got more of that going down. Like Daryl always talked about displacing the line of scrimmage. So a little more of that. Still need, obviously Daryl's going to want more all the time, and we all do, and that's obviously because that's who we want to be, a physical football team, and be able to displace the line of scrimmage. So I think that's where we need to keep that. We need to just keep building off of that. So I think it's a good. I think it was good to see the improvement, and as the game progressed too. I told people this. I said the game we were running the ball great early, but I think continually doing it kind of wore them out a little bit. And then Jalen started running around. They come that third quarter. I was most pleased that we actually we finally won the middle eight, really well. Like, it was a great job defensively. And we scored at the end of the half. Kickoff return, defense stops them. We're weak on score, and it's good. It's like a 17-point swing or something like that, which is awesome. So I thought we wore them out a little bit.
How are you determining how much and in what capacity to use Cam while he's banged up?
A lot of times Cam, how he feels, and by talking with T-Sam, and kind of keeping updates on that, like it is again. How's he feeling? How's he doing? So we try to and let him roll as long as he can until he can. Sometimes T-Sam does a really good job of letting me know where he's at. He might need a blow here, or hey, might need a little rest, or he's tightening up a little bit, or whatever. So I think that's through T-Sam a lot. We kind of get that feel like, hey, can he go? How much can he go? Luckily, we had with Canty back helped out too, having a little more depth. And then it's good to have even what's great is Tate Nagy is playing punt returner, and when that's a pretty hard position. So having confidence in him too, be able to play receiver if needed too, which is awesome.
When you guys started getting more downhill, was there any sort of adjustment to play calling that went along with that, or was it more guys are
like I told you before, if we started doing well, it got better.
Sure.
No, you know what I think would help a little bit sometimes, at least in that game, was a little bit of the multiple formation stuff we're doing. Kind of make them think a little bit maybe, and make them have to readjust to the different formation and kind of come downhill at them a little bit. So that helped. I think sometimes you get so many different pitchers that I probably need to do a better job trying to clear the pitcher up for them when the ball snapped, if that makes sense. When teams are doing a bunch of stuff, sometimes I'm not doing a bunch of stuff, some of those collaborations of what's going to happen, because both sides are doing some things, and maybe sometimes clearing it up a little bit for them and kind of, not static for lack of better words, but kind of a more simplistic scheme to kind of calm down what they're doing. I think that helped.
You mentioned Emmanuel's kick return. Are you watching those kick returns super closely? Are you studying the call sheet, trying to figure out what you're going to call after that return's over, and just waiting to hear what yard you're starting at? Or
no, I always think we're at the 25. I do nowadays. Like I just say we're at the 25 and then adjust off what I see. Once it I'm like, it never, unless it's like because something busts long, it's probably not going to change what I was thinking. Unless there's a shot call, a really shot call, or if you get stuck inside the 10, sometimes it's going to change. Just past the 10 or so kind of gives you, it is what it is. Kind of very rarely will I change what I was thinking, but then it's always good to see him go 100. That's okay too. But yeah, it doesn't. So it really doesn't. I get more. You change a little bit if you get blocked back. If you get the tough one is the shorter return than a penalty kicks you inside the 10. That kind of changes your thought, but at least changes a little bit what you might be calling.
What was your reaction then as you watched him run it back there?
Well, let's go. glad he's on our side. Glad he plays wide receiver. And no, it was really. We all know he's so fast, but it's so good to see that. It's like when I forgot a game. It was Kenny Logan whoever took one back against Oklahoma State, or someone took one with you. Was it Oklahoma State? Iowa State or what? Yeah. Those are game-changing moments. Coach Ty won the special teams was outstanding. Like it was fun to watch. That takes momentum out so quickly. And I think that's what's so fun. And I think people on the other side see a kid like that run and go like, you can see him be fast for a long time. So that's good.
Jim, 40-yard dash, Jason Bean or Emmanuel Henderson?
Ooh, and a 4, that's a great call. Jason's gonna kill me. I have to take Emmanuel. I think Emmanuel will start faster. Jason may catch him late or get close to him late. But yeah, Jason took a little bit to get going. But once he got going, Jason will hate me for that too. Yeah, Emmanuel on the 40, Jason might catch him. That'd be close to the 100.
Anything else for Coach Z?
That's KU offensive coordinator Jim Zebrowski. Love that question about Bean and Henderson, who would win the 40. And he said he likes Henderson in the 40.
He likes Henderson in the 40 because
Bean in the 100.
Yes.
And
Bean takes a while to get started, is what he said.
And that's what reminded me about when Jason Bean was playing. Fastest dude out there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But DL always talked about how he was the fastest guy north to south. So he wasn't as quick laterally. JD probably even quicker than Bean was laterally. But when you got him downhill, as they say, as fast as
he hit like 23 miles an hour against OU.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable.
That was fun. Well,
I think, you know what? I think the more I think about it, I think I'm taking Jason Bean.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Jason Bean in a 40 and 100.
All right. Well, we'll see what Manny Henderson has to say about that.
We'll see.
Perhaps another kick return. That'd be fun if he gets another this weekend.
If he does, then I'll forget everything I said.
Kick returns and punt returns for touchdowns are like the most exciting thing in football, and they're so rare with all the new rules and all that.
Well, especially when you open up a half.
Oh my gosh, yeah. For a team that was already dead in the water like West Virginia, that was certainly the dagger. But anyway, after this, we're going to talk more KU offense as we hear from offensive lineman Center Bryce Foster. You're watching Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com, and thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Want to shout out Miles Schneer over
Yes.
at Crown Automotive. He actually hooked us up with a few ball markers.
That's right.
For golfing as well. I assume you got your hands on one of those?
I have 2 ball markers in my car as of right now. I don't need 2 ball markers, but I lose them quite often.
Also,
but from
your girlfriend
Schneer Family
will dabble.
Wines.
Yes,
my
Zenith
girlfriend does
Winery.
dabble. Yeah, Zenith Winery, Miles Schneer. Wines, always great. Sean and I, we're not wine guys. All wine tastes the same. Schneer wines, that's the best wine we've ever had. I'm not even kidding. It's good
top
stuff.
tier.
And he's the best cars for sale here in Lawrence, too.
Crown Automotive, great partner with us here at Kansas Nation. So, again, thanks, Miles, for that partnership. Hey, let's hear from KU Center and one of the captains this season, Bryce Foster. And I've got a little story about a question that I asked him after this interview that we'll talk about afterward. But here's Bryce the other day.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
How are y'all? Y'all good?
Good.
Hey, Bryce, how do you feel like the run game kind of progressed throughout that game against West Virginia?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it throughout the week as the run games. We call it a softening process. Like at the beginning of games, you're not going to just bust runs all over the place, right? But we have to establish a line of scrimmage by being physical, and I think we did that fairly well. In the first half, didn't get any crazy runs in the first half, but did enough to where we had still to keep them honest about the run and the pass. And then, as you saw towards the end of the game, we were able to start getting a few like 10-yard runs, 12-yard runs, and then busted a 60-yard run. So, just kind of a process getting into that.
How would you evaluate the way you've played so far this season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's been bad at all. I wouldn't say it's up to the par that I expected myself to play at right now. I had a meeting with Coach DA, I think, on Sunday. And we kind of just talked about that, kind of like where he kind of expects me to be right now, and how I need to kind of do some things a little bit better from what I have been, and kind of just trusting myself, keeping that confidence in myself at the last for these next couple of weeks. And I mean, luckily we're only like a third or a quarter of the way into the season, so I had that talk, and then I've strung together my 2 best practice days of the year so far this year. So super excited for what I'm going to do this weekend.
Did you call that meeting, or was that?
Yeah, I called that meeting. Yeah.
Was that something you've done before in your college career, wanting to talk with an assistant like that during the season, or was this?
No, it was just kind of like I did a lot of like self-evaluation when I was watching my film and grading it and looking at things. It was like such like little stuff that I was doing wrong that ended up being like something big, something little as finishing a block with my body in a specific place, right? And then in practice, I wasn't doing that, and it showed up in a game, right? And so I had that kind of self-evaluation, and now I'm like, okay, now I know the way I need to practice, and I kind of did a practice like that yesterday, where I was like, okay, I feel good, I felt confident. Like walking off the field yesterday and even today, I'm like, I feel good, I feel confident going into the next day of practice and for this weekend. So I think that's been the biggest change for me right now.
Did Coach give you anything that you feel like you didn't notice on film when you did that self-evaluation?
I mean, it's going through the whole grading process for like each game, right? I mean, he sees the same things that I'm seeing, and I kind of talked to him. He didn't even know I was coming to talk to him, but I told him, I was like, listen, like I need to like, what do you think? This is what I think. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, I agree. I mean, your worst critic's gonna be yourself, and so yeah.
Was there anything that he told you you're actually doing better than you thought you were?
Honestly, I told him, I was like, I don't really want to like hear any of that. Like, I want to hear what I want to get better at, right? If he doesn't tell me I'm doing something wrong, then I'm doing it right. I'm doing my job. Yeah.
Maybe you touched on it a little bit, but what was it about these last 2 practices that made them so good for you?
I think for me, it's been like the details. We talk all the time about like being on the little details of how we finish blocks, how we finish plays, and anything along those lines. And I think that's been like the biggest thing for me, whether it be something like a snap placement where the ball's getting to the quarterback and not, unfortunately, being on the ground like it was this past weekend. Doing stuff like that and getting my hand back and taking like a wide zone more vertical rather than getting washed on the line of scrimmage, or just like moving my feet or getting my body in the right spot to be in between the defender and the runner.
I know the play literally does start with you because you're the center, but do you feel like these improvements can help set the tone, maybe better for an offensive line this fall?
No, yeah, for sure. Like as a whole for our offensive line, I think we played okay, not up to par to what we played at last year. But it's a new group. We're gelling. I think we kind of gelled quite a bit this past weekend, so I'm excited for what we can do this weekend.
What have you seen from Cincinnati's defensive line?
Yeah, they're big guys. They're physical. Their whole box is physical, and they're vet players, so they know how to play. They played a lot of football. I know their nose guards really, really good. So I'm super excited. I know he was out with an injury for the past couple of weeks, but I'm super excited for the challenge I see ahead of us.
I was just going to say, cornerbacks, if they're going up against a top wide receiver, they'll talk about being excited for that matchup. As an offensive lineman, do you ever look at the guy across from you on film and you're like, this is a guy I'm looking forward to facing?
I mean, yeah, it's a challenge. Something I always go by is my opponent's faceless. So, like I said, it doesn't matter who we play. We could play the worst team in the FCS, D3, whatever you want to call it, or the best team in D1, or we even play a team in the NFL, right? I'm still going to attack my practices the same way and attack them the way I should. And I haven't been up to par with that in the first couple of weeks. And this week, I think I've taken a big step forward and just changing my mindset of, the way I attack practice. But yeah, just kind of go off your question. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know he's a big guy. I know he's a big challenge. He's a little shorter, so I know I'm gonna have to work my pad level this week. It's gonna be a big thing for me.
You mean Corleone, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think is the next step for you guys offensively, just as a whole unit?
As a whole unit, I think it's going to be a big thing to be establishing the run. Making guys have to worry about, when they put 7 in the box, we can still run the ball. I think that's something we need to take pride in, and I don't think we do that quite yet. But I think this past weekend was a big feel good for us, where we put 260 yards on the ground, and so it's a pretty good game running the ball. And so I think that's something that we can kind of take pride in, so we can open up things for the receivers, for JD, and then, yeah.
Obviously, you were a little bit banged up. How many of these little habits and things were things that, hey, I'm coming back, maybe I'm not 100% healthy. This is kind of the way that I do it right now while I'm getting up to full health.
Yeah, I can't really use any excuses or anything like that. I mean, I'm playing at that point. I can't use anything. Whatever happens, and what's on the field's on film, right? I mean, I have goals and aspirations to be the best possible player I can be, so I can't use those kind of excuses. But, just kind of getting back in the source of trusting that left leg again. I got a little bit banged up in the Missouri game on that whenever I tripped and fell, unfortunately. But I got a little banged up there, and it kind of been a little tedious. Just kind of got to fix it a little bit into the bye week, and started kind of getting on the right track for West Virginia. And right now, I'm feeling really, really good, super, super good.
Obviously, Kobe was with you last year. How have you seen him grow? He's a guy, Pro Football Focus grades being whatever, but they say that he's one of the best guards in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. He's a good physical player. He's someone who wants to punish you for doing anything, for getting to our quarterback, getting to the running back. He's the guy that's like, I'm not going to let you touch my guys like that. So as an O-line, we kind of, whenever we do our grading, we have our assignment, technique, finish, effort, whatever you want to call it. But we also have another column called MTP, which is make the play. And if your guy makes the play, you want to have the least possible marks in that area as you can. And I think his is probably on one of the lower spectrums of all of ours.
As an offensive lineman, did you kind of like it when he and Ptacek kind of got after the guy who hit Jalen?
No, yeah, for sure. It was kind of unfortunate because I was 30 yards behind the play. They ran a stunt, and I had to end up following my guy to make sure he didn't make the play. And I was so far behind Jalen that whenever I saw it happen, I tried to run up there, but by the time I got up there, it was kind of all over, so I didn't get to do too much either. But we take pride in protecting our guys. Like I said, that make the play chart is something that we take pride in, and something we don't want guys to be able to mark off against us.
How hard is that? Your job is literally to keep him from getting hit behind you, obviously. How hard is that to watch? It wasn't your fault or your line's fault, but how hard is it to watch somebody unload on him like that?
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, I can tell you that. It's something that we take as probably a whole team, right, where we get a little bit extra mad. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a cheap shot, right? He was going down. It'd be different if it was a legal shot, but that was a cheap shot while he was sliding, so that just escalates it more. And then we kind of talked as a team, and we were we would have taken that penalty over and over and over and over and over again. Wish we had 3 more, But it is what it is. You gotta, once that happens, it's over. You gotta move on from it.
He got up pretty quick.
He did. Yeah. I think after the whole thing kind of boiled over, everyone kind of went, "Wait, okay, we have to make sure he's healthy. Right. Yeah, make sure he's good to go. Make sure he's good to go." Did he tell you guys
immediately, hey, I'm good?
Yeah. He said he was good, but I'm that's what everyone says. So I just wanted to make sure he was all right.
What was your point of view on the Leashon run?
I was blocking you guys, so I didn't really see too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was blocking my guy. They ran a blitz from the field, and so the O-line, we kind of knew how we picked it up. They'd been running it the entire game, so we knew exactly how we were going to pick it up based off of like some things we made on the sideline, some adjustments, and I think that's what really helped us get a hat on a hat. And then it was just let LeSean do his thing. I didn't really know what happened because like in the play, it's all kind of just like bleh. I kind of black out during games. I don't really remember too much from kickoff to whenever the time runs out. But I remember looking on social media after, and I was like, oh my God, okay, that's kind of cool. That was kind of fun to see a running back do that.
One more for Bryce.
Okay.
That was Bryce Foster the other day over at the football building. As soon as he stood up and was about to head back to the locker room or to get some food, whatever they do after the media availability, I had to ask him off air. I wanted to get it on air, but they had said one more question, so I'm like, oh, I'll just ask him as he's standing up. But you might remember last week, Bengali Kamara was talking about Trey Lathan, and linebackers, it's normal to be asked about somebody else in your room, and Bengali was just like, he's always wrestling everybody.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, what? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he's just always wrestling everybody in the locker room and all that. And I was like, that's kind of a strange answer. But Trey Lathan, I guess he's energy and he's like that.
He's a wrestler, yeah.
So Bryce Foster, who's the biggest dude on the team,
Yeah.
he stands up. I'm like, hey, Bengali last week was talking about how Trey's always wrestling people. Has he ever wrestled you? He's like, no, I don't think he wants to do that. He's like, I don't know if he's afraid of me or what, but he's never tried that. I'm like, yeah, because Foster, that dude is a unit. And KU's had.
That's the last guy you want to. Yeah.
I mean, you hear that about offensive linemen, right? But he is just. He's not built like a lot of offensive linemen.
His neck is this big.
It's the neck, the shoulders, and like Mike Nowitzki, who was our center a couple years ago prior to Bryce Foster, looks like an offensive lineman, but Bryce Foster just looks different there. And I'm sure if Trey Lathan it was even close to him, he would have thought otherwise of that. But Trey, apparently a funny personality. It's working for him. 13 tackles a couple weeks ago, and then against his former team, a sack and an interception last week. But good hearing from Bryce Foster there. And as Dan and I talked about a little bit earlier in the show, he takes it upon himself to watch individual film and try to figure out how he can get better. That's what a captain does. Big story tonight, KU Athletics is the nationally ranked KU soccer team who has yet to take an L this season back at Rock Chalk Park to take on a top 20 RPI team, a fellow top 20 RPI team in Baylor. And then, of course, KU gets number 10 TCU on Sunday. We're going to hear from head coach Nate Lee in his second season at the helm. Next segment here on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Kellerman and Daniel Courtwright back with you live in the Kansas Nation studios. State of the art here on Mass Street. Excited to bring you the best coverage of all things KU Athletics. Hey, tomorrow on the show, Daniel, we will be here in studio, and we will be having on the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Haney. We will also have our sports stock market segment as well.
That's right. Yes, we're also going to be hearing.
Ding.
Yes, ding, 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 ding. Sports stock market. Also going to be hearing from a couple of other KU football players as well. Going to be hearing from head volleyball coach Matt Ulmer too. So really excited about that. And then obviously giving some college football game picks and some NFL game picks as well. So tomorrow's show is going to be a lot of fun. Haney usually comes on Thursdays. A bit of a scheduling mix-up, so we're having him on tomorrow. Also be on the lookout for the next episode of Haney and the Hawks.
Yes,
that should be coming out relatively soon. I heard he's got a couple of former KU quarterbacks going to be joining him as well, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, keep an eye on that as well. And of course, Legends of Kansas, the second episode is up as well. Brandon McAnderson and Chris Harris Jr. on KansasNation.com. Great coverage. Not just us. We hope you enjoy our show, of course. But it's not just us on Kansas Nation, so check out the weekly shows that we offer as well. Again, KansasNation.com. KU soccer, big weekend, as KU volleyball has as well, with the Arizona schools coming to Horsch. But let's hear from head soccer coach Nate Lee ahead of a big 3 or 4 days here at Rock Chalk Park.
I don't want to be afraid to talk about things around the team. Don't want to purposefully avoid them. And so I think I mentioned it. I mean, we talk about RPI every week. The team knows. It actually came up in the last meeting without me mentioning it. The polls themselves, they just came out this week, and it's exciting. And these players work really, really hard. And so I think it's nice to celebrate. And so I think we've had this sort of weekly cadence about talking about, all right, this is what we're ranked in this poll, this is what we're ranked in this poll, this is our RPI, great job, and let's move on. When it comes to something like our start, a little bit, for me, a season's judged at the end, right? And we're going to play 19 regular season matches, and we're 9 in, so we're not even halfway in. And so I want to celebrate, one part of our season is complete in our non-conference as we break it up. I'm proud of what we did. Lining that up against past teams, I think that's maybe what I'd want to focus on in the offseason versus this season, because that doesn't, if we don't take care of business in the second half of the season, that won't mean anything. And as we approach weekends, no matter what we do on Thursday, if we have a really great performance, the first thing they're probably going to hear from me after great job is let's back this up on Sunday. And so I just think we're about to survive a season of 19, 20 matches and playing most of those twice a week. I think you have to kind of just stay in the moment and approach each game separately, and then there's plenty of time to reflect upon anything we did or didn't accomplish afterward.
Just going back to that last match, I mean, how were they able to pull it off being down a player for more than half? And I guess what impressed you about that effort overall?
It was an interesting game in that I thought we came out pretty flat and just not at our best. I was slightly disappointed with our first 25, 30 minutes, and for whatever reason, once we had that red card and that moment of adversity, from that second onward, I thought we were excellent, and I thought the team and individual players and the bench and everyone just really stepped up in that moment. And I don't know what to attribute that to. Hopefully, it's something within our culture there. But they, Sindra, our athletic trainer, after the match, she just kind of walked over to us coaches and kind of was shaking her head and smiling. And I don't know the exact term, but she's like, "Man, that is a blank group of gritty ass women," and she's right. In that, that evening, the program stepped up and did something that's hard to do, right? So you don't know how familiar anyone is with this game and what it's supposed to happen when you're down a player for 60 minutes against a top 30 ranked opponent conference opponent on the road. But most of the time you're not going to come out with a victory. And something I mentioned after the match, which to me is just as if not more impressive, is we came out on the right side of every statistic on that as well. So there's the shots. I think there's a third-party company that looks into those statistics, and it's probably a little bit more accurate than the home team kind of doing them in the box. And we over doubled their shots, and 100 more completed passes and entries into the final third, stuff we look at. I think we doubled or tripled, and that is where I'm like, that is a performance, right? When you can play a great opponent on the road in conference, both teams wanting to get off on a good start and still impose a lot of your tactics and your will on the opponent. So we celebrated that one more than we'll probably celebrate the average match, even against good opponents, because I think it was differentiated. I think it was special in many ways, and one that we'll remember for a while. But back to the point I made a couple minutes ago, now it's on to the next. And but Thursday night was a great performance by the team.
Do you practice a man down?
You try to do some of that stuff, you man up, man down, up a goal, down a goal. We do less situational stuff than most teams, I would say. And if you want to, my why on maybe focusing on less than others is you have a finite amount of time. It's really, really hard to simulate any sort of different scenario that you might see in a match. And as much as you try to simulate it, it's not going to be the same as the real thing, right? It's just not. Thankfully, I think tactically and how we coach our team and how we set up our team, we were able to make an adjustment that impacted one player more than most of the rest, and so that the rest of the team can largely do what they're trained to do in any other scenario. It just happened to work out. The person who had to make the adjustment, I thought, made it in a great manner, and then the flow of the game just kind of continued to fall in our favor, right? if we go down a man in the next match, I think it would be hard to simulate because you don't know what the other team's going to do. But yeah, we talk through scenarios. We try to train them to some extent, but I don't think we had recreated anything quite like that. The players just were able to respond in the moment.
I suppose I'm talking mostly about Faith and Mary, I guess, but for freshmen to be scoring right away and repetitively, is that uncommon? Is that common? Does that depend on the player? How do you? I mean, it has to be something you like.
Yeah. I think in our sport more than some, a freshman, the right situation can come in and impact right away. Now, impact has a lot of different, levels to it. This particular team, I don't think a freshman's been starting. Is that correct? Whereas last year, I think we had, if you count Soph as a redshirt, I think 5 starting in most matches. I don't think either is particularly normal, right? Like I haven't coached many teams that have 5 freshmen starting pretty every match, and this might be the first one that I've coached that had 0 in the starting lineup. We've been fortunate that we've been able to trot out the same starting lineup and have that continuity and that relative health. But those freshmen are continuing to grow, and if you look at the 2 people who were up here before, right, Kate and Jordan, they're better players this year than they were last year for us. Jordan went from a complimentary role, coming off the bench, stepping up huge in the Big 12 tournament, to a player now that I think might lead our team in minutes, or very, very darn close, if not. And that's kind of the progression that is normal. There's the outliers in both directions. Unfortunately, and I'm not sure we're going to see Mary the rest of the year. I don't think I'm probably breaking too much news. She had an unfortunate injury. She was just coming on. She up until Sunday, she was the only player to score on Florida State all season. And she took a goal very well against Liberty right before she got hurt. I think Jordan has scored multiple goals. Because of her red card, she's out on Thursday. And I think Faith, the other freshman, is probably going to assume a lot of Jordan's role, right? And it's nice to have that depth. In a perfect world, you want all players as experienced as possible, but that's not really the real world. What I have said about this freshman class from day one is I think as a whole, and particularly the ones who are playing probably the most, they came in ready, and that is mental, physical, emotional, all that, but they came in fit. And that gives them, a leg up on a lot of other people. And so I think just as a whole, this team can hurt you in a few more ways than last year's team. And I think we have 6 players now who have scored multiple goals on the season. I think we have 6 players who have multiple assists on the season, and only 2 of those kind of are a shared person, right? And so, this past game, Caroline scored our goal. I think the game before at Liberty, it was Mary. It was someone help me out here. Olivia and Jill. The game before was Lexi and Sage, and so the best teams usually have someone who scores 8, 10, 12, 14 goals. I think we have a few players who are going to end up with stats pretty high up there. But I think one thing that makes us a little bit different, a little bit unique, is that it doesn't have to be the same player every week, and we can hurt you or threaten you in a lot of different ways. And so whether that's freshmen or returning players, as a coach, I think, and as a team, it's empowering that it doesn't always have to come from the same person.
You mentioned Caroline. Are you using her the same as last year, or is it a different way you're using her this year?
Yeah, I think we switched shapes about halfway through last season, and it pushed Caroline and what we'll call our wingbacks a little bit higher up the field. And so I think that particular switch, sets Caroline up for success. Emily Tobin and Lydia on the right side, because we've got some production out of that side too. I think Carol is a personality player for us, right? She's a difference maker, and so you have, we have a system that has some probably more parameters and guardrails and rigidity than some. But then I've always said, if you have players that are personality players or differentiated in some way, they can change those parameters. And I think Caroline has a lot of leeway within our system, that her special skill set can we try to utilize her and all the things that she's different at, and let her go express that on the field. So I think our system is set up really well for a player with her particular strengths. And then, I think our growth together, right? Carol and us as a coaching staff, and the longer we get to know each other, I think, that can extend to some other players on our team. We start figuring out, where those parameters can change, and they can make that position their own.
With Baylor, is it odd a year and a half into your time here playing a new conference opponent for the first time, and what are your expectations for that?
So even last season, you don't play 4 teams in conference. Last year, 2 of those 4 teams we didn't play, we then played in the conference tournament in Texas Tech and TCU. So I think the only programs we haven't seen yet are Houston and Baylor. A little quirk of the system, we don't play, or the scheduling, we don't play Houston again this year. And so, this will be our first time seeing Baylor. We played right after them, I think twice during the Big 12 tournament last year. And so when we're getting to CPKC and the players are going back to the locker room, the coaches are going out and just watching the match before. So I think we saw them twice there. They just played Texas Tech on Friday, right? So that was the day that we were off. So we were able to kind of watch that in real time. Very, very good team, right? And having a really positive season. I think they just had their first loss this past weekend in a very close match against a very good team. So I think they're very good on the ball. I think they have an identity as a program that they really buy into. I think they've added a little bit of talent and danger into on their roster, and it's going to be really a really challenging match for sure.
I'm going to go back to Castens. We know what a bomb she has for her left foot, switching the field and getting it ahead, but her precision with her right foot is so good. Do you see that every day in practice?
She certainly favors her left foot. So, but I think, both her goals are with her right foot, if I'm not mistaken. And she kind of, addresses the ball differently with her right than her left, partly because of probably the limitations, right? And so she can really sting the ball with her left. If you're not quite as confident with your other foot, then maybe you change your technique and you go with a little bit more finesse. And that particular technique has, a lot of danger in that she can also kind of texture it over the goalkeeper towards the far post. I think a lot of that was also due to her positioning. We talk to our team a lot of times, especially on the weak side, of not getting caught too far outside of the frame of the goal. So both of her goals were kind of inside the frame. She's just a very good player, right? And understands time and place pretty darn well, and what the situation calls for. She has more variety than a lot of players out there in different ways. She can hurt an opponent short, long, one touch, two touch, do it by herself, and so she is one of those players too that, for whatever reason, as soon as we went down to play her, it felt like she just I felt the energy from her. She was on our side of now is time to really turn it on. My team needs me. And so it's cool when you see that on the field, and it kind of permeates for 40, 50, 60 minutes, and then she's also able to make the big play in the match too.
Josh had a couple that he wanted me to ask you. State of the Union, after 3 road games, where do you feel like this program is right now with 3 home games coming up?
I'm really impressed with how we handled that road chunk. Those two trips heading east were not easy, right? And so Yale was I think in the end, an 11-hour trip to get out there. I think Liberty was a 12-hour trip to get out there. We went out a day early, which you thought was probably the thing that would help us, have the best chance, but you never quite know because it's outside our normal sort of rhythm of road matches. Yale was our first turf match. Liberty doesn't lose much over there. They play everyone tough. So I thought getting through those 2 was a real challenge. And then we had a short turnaround, right? So I think our flight from Charlotte, North Carolina, took off close to 11 p.m. on Sunday night, right? After we had to just bust 3.5 hours to get there. And then we get back they probably get back in their beds at 2 a.m. on Monday morning, and then on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock we're rolling out of here to go play at Oklahoma State. And so I was nervous as the person who put together the schedule and is ultimately responsible for the schedule of usually as you head into conference play, you give yourself a little bit of a buffer. So whether it's you give yourself an extra couple days or you play at home or you play a less competitive match, well, we did the exact opposite. We went on a long road trip against a very good team, short turnaround, and we don't talk about it as a program. Like we go out of our way to say, hey, just tackle whatever challenges ahead of you. But I had it in the back of my mind, man, did I set up this team for a little bit of failure? And so again, this team's met every challenge, which I've been impressed by. As you go deeper into a season, you face more adversity and different challenges, and you get a little bit more exposure of what kind of team you are, what the character of your program looks like. And each test we've done so well. We've done well. I think we have a lot of scenarios we haven't seen yet. And so whether that's what we're going to look like after we lose, which is inevitably going to happen, we haven't had to chase too many games so far. And so I don't know what the exact statistic is, but I think that we've only been trailing for something like 10 or 15 minutes all season. Again, we went down against Florida State and then we got an equalizer pretty shortly after. And so I wish, we would have had that exposure, because usually when it's the first time, you probably don't do your best in dealing with it. Hopefully we've helped prepare the team to face that challenge when it comes. But there's still a lot ahead. I don't want to get over our skis, right? We've played less than half the season, and we're starting to reap some recognition and attention, and that's great. Like these players deserve it. But we haven't really done anything yet. All the big stuff's kind of ahead. We've just set the table to allow ourselves to hopefully see this thing through. But it's a really great group. Really, as you asked State of the Union, it's a really great group to work with. This team gets along as well as any team I've seen. They're not as loud and boisterous in that way, but they just, we look at each other as coaches oftentimes and say, hey, this group really seems to like each other. When you go through a season, you deal with lots of stuff as a coach, and none with the least, the one that's most often is playing time and travel squads. And this group has been really, really professional about sort of role identity, and if the role's not exactly what you want, working to try to change that, but still being a great teammate, and having the team in the program as the guiding light. And so, yeah, ask me that question again when the obvious adversity hits. My bet is that this team will deal with it all right. But right now, I'm happy with where we are.
You mentioned the continuity of same 11 every game so far this year. What's the value of that benefit of having that same group start for you?
Yeah, it's rare. I don't think I've ever coached a team that's had this kind of continuity. It's not by design, but I'm certainly not complaining. I think a really important variable on a team's success over the long run, and especially as you kind of are on the back half of the season, is role identity. Embracing whatever it is that you're going to do and bringing as much value as you can to that particular role. It's harder when that role is still in flux and in gray. It's harder to embrace something that you haven't established. So whether it's just okay, I'm a substitute and my role is going to be a game changer in this way or hold serve in that way, I think these players have kind of settled into that particular, whatever their role may be. I also think they've settled into when they're going to come into a game, right? So not just are we starting the same group, I think our substitution patterns are pretty similar. So at 20 some minutes into the game, our forwards our first set of forwards is probably going to come in. Our right wing back's going to come in. Our 10 might come in, and that doesn't change much over a game either. And so just those players, if you're on the field knowing that a break's coming, if you're coming on as a sub, knowing about when you should warm up and getting your body ready and food or whatever it may be, that's probably the advantage of the continuity. I don't want anyone to get complacent either way, though. So whether it's changing your role for the better or not anyone's role is concrete either, where they can't lose it. You don't want complacency to set in. You just want the benefits. And right now, I think we have the groups kind of wired the right way to enjoy the benefits and not see the complacency.
You got a Big 12 championship rematch coming up on Sunday. What is the opportunity for the team in that game?
Well, the opportunity for TCU is to exact a measure of revenge, probably, and I'm sure they're going to talk through that. I think for us, it's there's a lot of things. I think there is an opportunity for if you're going to talk about RPI, you're going to talk about how those games can help you and how a top 25 win can catapult you in a lot of different ways. If you're like, I don't want our team to dismiss the possibility for a conference championship, right? I don't think that is off the table. And so if you're going to even think about those things, you probably got to go through a program like that. I think for me, the biggest thing is I think TCU is a measuring stick and probably the measuring stick within our conference. That have, since the Big 12's, the last couple of years in the Big 12, they've been the premier program, and plenty of teams have challenged them, and some, have come out on top here and there, but they're probably the one. And so we aspire to be in that conversation going forward for the long run every year, and the only way to have that be realistic is to see where you are against the best. And if you're short in any way, like knowing it, understanding it, and working to change it. And so, we have an opportunity there to compete against the best and see where things shake out. I think it takes a little bit of the edge off, right? Just let's go and see what happens versus trying to hold serve. Now it's like, okay, let's go win a big one. And I think, if I flip it and think about what they're going to be telling their team heading in, I'm sure they're going to want to make a statement as well.
You've always been about players earning their time, whether it's starting minutes overall. Olivia was in kind of a battle at the beginning of the year in that back line of defense to, get her spot. She'd been a starter before. Her game's taken off. She's done the national team of the week, and, accolades to go with it, and it seems like her performance and confidence are up. What have you seen out of her over the course of the year so far?
Playing center back in this system under this coaching staff, and I'll point mostly at myself on that one, is not the easiest task, right? So much of our communication and teaching and coaching is about being in the right time, being in the right place as close to 100% of the time as possible before anything bad can happen. And then there's a million different scenarios of how that can, a given different picture can change. And that position more than any, outside of maybe goalkeeper, is is the least, what word am I looking for here? When you make a mistake, it gets magnified. Unforgiving, that is the exact word I was looking for. So that's an unforgiving position in the moment, and it's an unforgiving position as it relates to coaching. You're going to get a lot of it. Fiona has, being new to this system and being called on to play that many minutes, she has been, received a ton of coaching as well. I think with Liv, the talent is there. She's a great kid, a great person. She's a team player. She has to just continue to double down on the small things and the little details. Whenever she's come up short in those situations or hasn't been perfect, we've given the coaching point. She always comes in for extra coaching, wants to get better, and then her response has been really good. I think she was excellent against Oklahoma State. I thought she was excellent against Florida State. Sometimes for her, it seems like the better the competition, the bigger the challenge, the more she steps up. I hope and think she'll continue with that consistency, that same intensity game over game. It's a long season and it's unrelenting. And all three of those center backs, quite honestly, between Liv, Jordy, and Fiona, have a pressure that's different than a lot of positions. And I think all three of them have worked very well to deal with that pressure, and if when mistakes happen, to try to not have that same one happen again. I think we're purposefully and intentionally trying to figure out if we can work other people into that rotation, because it's hard to survive playing 90 minutes every single match for the rest of the way. I hope Brooke gets a crack at this. I think if we not gone down a player, I do think she probably would have seen the field last game. And then others, whether it's Molly, freshman, Becca, who we gave a chance against Liberty, I don't want to be beholden only to 3 players at that position. And so if you see substitutions going forward, it might not be because anyone made a mistake or we're disappointed. I think we're proactively trying to figure out, can we build a little depth there?
You have Baylor coming up before the TCU game. How do you get the team to not overlook a good Baylor team?
I'm not really. I don't think this team's one that's going to fall into the category of doing much overlooking in general. They've been really good in that way. They've probably had other opportunities to look past blank for blank. I think if we want to get their attention, which I'm pretty good at, is Baylor's top 20 RPI in the country right now. So if we are not in the position to overlook a top 20 team, period, end of sentence, and I don't think we'll have to worry about that. It's a Thursday night game, which tends to easily, it helps the other team too, kind of find that energy and that excitement. But I hope our crowd's been great this season. I hope that another one happens. I can't say that we're going to play great on Thursday, but I don't think it's because we're overlooking them.
That's KU head soccer coach Nate Lee a little bit earlier this week. Big match tonight, KU and Baylor. After this, a special fantasy draft you won't want to miss on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Next segment, we're going to hear from some KU volleyball players, Ryan White and Reece Ptacek, as the Arizona schools head to Horace this weekend. Friday night, Arizona State, and then Sunday it is U of A. And a little bit later, we're going to have our Thursday night football game picks, Seahawks and Cardinals. Cardinals not going to have James Conner. He's out for the year, so Trey Benson likely the bell cow for them. So we'll give a few game picks on that. But first, Dan, a fantasy draft that we typically do every Thursday, and this is one that, unsurprisingly, you cooked up because it's a little bit tough for me to wrap my head around, but I've assembled a list that I'm confident in.
I don't understand how I think about this constantly, by the way. So we're doing a fantasy draft of villains to play football. So we're going quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, and defensive player.
There's a little flexibility in that.
Yes, there's a little flexibility in the defensive side of the ball, and there's flexibility also in terms of what you think is a villain, right? So I had the MIAA flipping coin. It's from the only game I ever got meaningful playing time in. It was 2019, September 12th, 2019 against Northeastern State. 3 snaps, 2 were victory formation. Sean, I will let you flip the coin. MIAA is heads. The football player is tails. I'll flip it on the couch because last time I made a really loud noise.
Okay, let me go with tails.
No, you saw it.
No, I mean, I did look over there. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's tails.
I just get it every time. That's fair.
Unbelievable.
So I've got 1-1, as per usual. Fantasy draft of villains as football players, right? Okay, villains as football players, 1-1. Man, I feel really good about this list. I think there's a clear option, though, for 1-1. And I'm just going to get right into it. He's 8 foot tall, so he's going to slide into my tight end position. Give me Frankenstein.
Frankenstein,
the 8-footer.
I love that.
Slides into my tight end position. I mean, we love Deshaun Haneke.
No. Wait, hold on. Question, because Mary Shelley was very particular about this. Are you going with?
I'm going with the monster in Frankenstein. I'm going with the monster in Frankenstein. I'm not going. Dr. Frankenstein is not quite as as tall, for instance.
Sure, because there is a difference, right? Because if you go Dr. Frankenstein, he's not necessarily a large man. He's got a brain on him, but not good at the tight end spot. Frankenstein's monster, and I feel like the people would really need to know the difference.
Yeah, that's fair. No, Frankenstein the monster, 8 foot tall. Rather frightening character, but I mean that's perfect for a tight end spot. Probably doesn't move incredibly quickly, but has the size, and I mean throw anything up, and Frankenstein's going to deliver.
I like that a lot. Okay, so I have 2 back-to-back here. I actually love that I have 2 back-to-back here. I am going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with defensive end here.
We always go with an edge rusher.
And I'm going to go with one relatively recent in terms of pop culture. One of the more powerful villains of all time.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go with Thanos from the Avengers. I mean, that guy is breaking through. I mean,
that hurts.
So here's the thing. With the Avengers has the Hulk and Captain America and literally the God of Thunder, Thor. And you know what it took for them to beat him? A redo. They had to go back in time to beat Thanos.
I'm really upset by that because I had him on my list and probably would have selected him next.
It was 1-1 overall for me. I was determining whether or not O-line or D-end, but I think he's going to be disruptor. I mean, he's going to be in that backfield every single freaking time.
Man, I'm gonna be scrambling here. That's really tough.
Thanos is. I mean, doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. You could have Todd Reesing back there. He's still taking him down. And then I got a couple. So I have one after this. I have one that I really want to take, and I don't know how it's going to fly with the audience or the FCC. I'm going to go with quarterback here, just a guy who's a natural-born leader. I think that this is probably the correct pick because, I mean, talk about a guy who can place a ball wherever he wants it to. I mean, this guy's got some kind of unnatural force, if you will, with him. I'm going to go Darth Vader.
Okay.
Darth Vader is my.
I'm okay with that. I didn't have Darth Vader on my list. Obviously, I considered considering him, but never actually went with him.
But he's a born leader too. I mean, who else could build a spaceship the size of a planet and not have any butting of heads? You know what I mean?
True.
Now, granted, Senator Palpatine was kind of the overseer of all of that, but Darth Vader really was the face of that whole thing.
Okay.
So I think that Darth Vader as a quarterback. That's a no-brainer. Plus, like I said,
I've got an even better.
He'll throw the ball, and he can just go, and then place it in the hands of whatever wide receiver you have.
I've got an even better quarterback that I'm going to take right now.
Okay.
So I've got back-to-back picks here, obviously, in the snake draft. And Frankenstein, 1-1 overall. I like that at the tight end position. I really don't know how you're going to stop Frankenstein. And he can catch everything.
He runs like Travis Kelce now.
He's 8 foot tall, though. If Travis Kelce were 8 foot, you'd go to war with him at the tight end spot.
He's just not very mobile. He's a bad route runner. I mean, the guy just...
It doesn't matter when you're 8 foot tall. No, that's perfect.
Hmm.
Hey, but how about this selection at quarterback?
Okay.
You're absolutely going to hate this pick and wish that you had selected him as he was out there. My QB, Villans as football players, White Goodman.
Oh, from Dodgeball.
White Goodman from Dodgeball. You
That's
talk about
great
an
pick.
absolute cannon.
The guy's got an arm, man.
He's got an arm.
That's a great pick.
He's a lefty generally, but that's the thing. He's a little bit ambidextrous, is he not? He can throw with both arms.
He's got both arms.
So how do you defend that?
He's got kind of a wild personality, sort of a cancer in the locker room kind of guy. But also, we're going to run into that quite a bit when we're talking.
I got to be honest. I'm not worried about the locker room.
That's
I'm really
fair.
not. I mean, I've got White Goodman and Frankenstein in there.
It's pretty good.
Vibes are going to be up, but yeah, I mean, White Goodman again. He has the ability to throw with force.
Hit those guys in the
He's
chest.
pretty
too,
accurate as well.
Yeah.
So give me White Goodman at quarterback, and then next, I think you're really going to like this pick.
Okay.
I obviously liked Thanos on the defensive side of the ball, and I think it's a natural selection to go with him off the edge.
Sure.
But I'm going to go to the defensive side.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a Hawk linebacker. You know who I like at my Hawk linebacker? The Joker.
Really? And give me
the Joker at the Hawk linebacker.
Why?
Because
which Joker, by the way?
He's a Dark Knight.
Okay, sure.
Dark Knight Joker. He's got the ability to deceive.
Okay.
I think. So there's a little bit of deception there. And I like that he can do a little bit of everything, bounce around on the defensive side.
No, that's
so
good.
I don't know. I think that's a natural fit at the Hawk linebacker spot.
He's pretty agile too.
Yes,
And,
he's got some athleticism. And again, the deception is vital.
By the way, I feel like it just all the time you see I guess Odell Beckham, I guess, is one of the ones who started it. But there's also like people, they have gloves and that has like this Joker's like smile
Yeah.
on the gloves, or like they have like
That's true. He
the
does usually
screen.
show up on the
So
football field in some way.
he shows up on the football field in a lot of
Cleats
ways.
occasionally.
I think I like him in the at the linebacker spot.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid.
Yeah, a
pick.
little bit of athleticism to him.
Yeah, he could play both ways, but I think I like him there at that linebacker spot. All right, so just real quick, so you have White Goodman as your quarterback, Frankenstein's monster as your tight end,
Yes.
and the Joker linebacker. I have Vader as my quarterback and Thanos as my defensive end. I'm gonna go with running back here. Real Marvel heads know this. Oh gosh, I don't want to go running back here because I have a really good pick, but all right, I'll do it. I'm gonna go with the Juggernaut. Are you familiar with the Juggernaut?
I'm not.
So the Juggernaut.
I'll go to the
is
World
a
Wide Web.
large man with a concrete helmet, and he runs through walls. That's his whole thing.
I see.
I mean,
that would be tough to defend. I'm not going to lie.
I know. He just runs through walls. That's
And
his
this is a
whole
Marvel
thing.
character? Okay.
It's a Marvel character. I believe he was in the X-Men.
Huh. Okay. Elijah, are you familiar?
Also great.
All right. Easton says yes.
Yeah,
okay.
wasn't he? He was in Deadpool 2, right? Yeah. Watch Deadpool 2.
That's a good pick at running back.
Thank you.
I feel like we generally, when we do these drafts for football,
every pick
one
you
of
see
us
him, he's
one
running.
of us goes with a bruiser of a running
Yeah.
back, and one of us goes with kind of more of a scat back.
Yeah.
And I'll have mine here relatively shortly.
Um,
But you're up for your second of your back-to-back picks.
Yeah, I'll go wide receiver here. Give me Antonio Brown.
I was actually, I mean, but that's the thing. That's the thing is I was going to take Tom Brady at quarterback, but I felt like that wasn't.
No, it would have been a good pick. Yeah.
All right.
No, I like Antonio Brown. I mean, the guy's a really good. I mean, he's one of the better wide receivers of the 2010s, right?
Okay, if you say so.
I think that's a great pick.
All right. Yeah,
he's certainly a villain, especially now. He is, man. What is going on with him as of right now?
Oh my God, it's rough. It's rough to look at. See, you told me off air that you were thinking about going with a big fella up front early on, and it seems like you've kind of faded that.
I was thinking about going with a big fella up front, but with the Juggernaut in the backfield as my running back, I feel relatively confident. Nobody's bringing him down.
Yeah,
Just
well,
nobody's bringing him
Eric Fisher ain't coming off that board. All right, I've got 2 picks here, and then we'll sort of reset. I've got my quarterback, tight end, and defensive player with my Hawk linebacker. I'm going to go up front.
Okay.
Here I am, because my running back, as you'll see, is not going to be of the same size and power as yours. So I need somebody up front who can protect this running back and at least, create some sort of hole, some sort of separation. So on the offensive line, I want Pound from the Monstars. He is the Charles Barkley build orange Monstar. He's the Charles Barkley character.
Okay.
From the Monstars in Space Jam, and he's a little bit wider.
Big bone,
but I
big bone.
need somebody who can provide that separation up front. I did admittedly have to look up his name because I don't know if that's ever actually brought up. But anyway, yeah, he's the orange one who's the little miniature guy at the beginning, and then they steal the powers.
So this is after they steal the powers. I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good assumption.
I just want to clarify.
Good assumption. Yes. I mean, this dude is a beast. All right. So I don't need the little wormy guy from before they got the powers.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he's an absolute beast.
Right.
Bigger than Juggernaut, I would say. So I need him
Probably.
up front. That's going to be my guy.
So I watched the film on him, and he's obviously a big guy, a lot of power, but a little dumb, a little just not too bright.
Yes.
I guess for a guy up front, but I
just hit somebody.
All the power. Yeah,
just hit
go
somebody.
Up and hit somebody. But
all right.
Also he's going up against Thanos.
I need wide receiver and I need running back at this point. For my wide receiver, I think that's where I'm going to go. I considered the monster Frankenstein at wideout, but again, like you said, he doesn't exactly have a lot of speed. What was attractive was the height. Felt like it was more of a natural fit at the tight end position.
He'll be good in the blocking game too.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
pass pro.
So wide receiver, obviously, you want somebody who is tall.
Yeah.
You got some height to him. And this selection of mine going to be a tall gentleman. But you also like somebody, kind of going back to the deception side of things, somebody who can kind of, sneak behind the defense, right? Somebody a little sneaky, maybe, they understand on a hot route where to go,
right?
That sort of thing.
Yeah,
almost
someone who flies under the radar, kind of.
Almost be unseen. At times. Very sneaky, very deceptive, but a little bit of height to him. Give me the Grinch.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Yes, so the Grinch, ability
That's
to
a great
sneak
pick.
behind a defense, and again, just enough height to where you feel comfortable.
By the way, is it ever determined why he's green?
I don't know.
Because that also could be a camouflage aspect, right? Like Laquiviante Gonzalez
Yes.
in the blue end zone. He's green like the turf. It's going to be hard to see him.
That is absolutely crazy. He is, by the way, green because Chuck Jones, director of the animated TV special in 1966, was inspired by the ugly green color of a rental car he was driving at the time.
Oh, that's mean.
How about that? I know, right?
Man.
The Grinch is also Martha May LaHouvier is a great get for the Grinch. Shout out to him.
Man, way out of his league.
Yes.
Way out of his league.
Right.
Martha
Well,
May.
you have a problem with hairy guys?
No, I don't have a problem with hairy guys. He's just, by the way, at the end, he does turn out to be a good guy.
Yes.
So,
well, yeah. I mean, his heart obviously
grew 3 sizes.
Yes.
Which, by the way, a lot of doctors said that is not healthy.
I know. I'm a little bit worried about him, but hey, he got the girl. So anyway,
Sure.
he's my wide receiver. You've got to close us out with a couple on your end, and then I've got a tailback.
Yeah. Let's go through them right now. So I have Darth Vader as my quarterback, Juggernaut as my running back, Antonio Brown as my wide receiver, Thanos at DN. You have White Goodman as your quarterback, the Grinch at wide receiver, Frankenstein's monster as tight end, Pound from Monstars at offensive line, and the Joker as a linebacker. I need my tight end, Hawk linebacker.
I want that written down. Yeah.
I still need a tight end and an offensive lineman. I'm gonna go ahead and go with offensive line here. Give me Bane, right, from Batman.
Okay.
Got to go with Bane, right? I mean, that guy, just a disruptor. No, I wanted him on defense. I think that Thanos was probably the better pick at.
I think Thanos has a little bit more jump to him.
Yeah, but Bane's still a big, strong guy. He's got a cool face mask, I think Bane.
I'm a little bit worried, and this is
I just needed him on my
comparing him. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him on the offensive line, though. I don't know if there's enough girth to him. Like, is he wide enough?
I know that's the thing. It depends on what.
Are we talking comics? Are we talking movie?
Like comics, he's huge. In the movie, it's just Tom Hardy.
Yeah, right.
It's just a guy.
Right.
But he did blow up a football stadium.
There is
in the movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always your guys on the football field are always going to be kind of like,
right.
Watch out.
Happening.
Watch out. When is this actually happening? And then for my tight end spot, this one feels good to me. Just a guy with a lot of length, I think, and a guy who's a bona fide winner, a guy everyone hates. Give me Christian Laettner.
Very tall, very tall.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, that to me feels like a good pick for tight end too, because he's not just tall and lanky. He's also, he's kind of a bigger guy too.
That might be a good matchup because my Hawk linebacker, the Joker, while he's fast, he's sneaky, he can do a lot of different things. He's not going to break you in half.
No.
If I had a little bit more girth at the linebacker spot, then Laettner obviously would be crushed.
Right, that's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
That should be good. Good kind of seeing the Joker in coverage there.
It's like Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans every single year. It's just like that's going to be so much fun to watch every single time.
That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah,
when
absolutely. So I like
breaking
Christian
this down.
Laettner at the tight end spot here. You have one more pick.
I'm closing this out with my running back.
Okay.
I'm doing something a little bit different here, but I want somebody who's just a pure athlete, more of a scat back than somebody like Juggernaut who's just going to blow through everybody. Give me Charles Minor from The Office. Obviously, he's a natural villain. You've seen him on the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is an athlete. I don't know if he's a forward striker. I don't know exactly what his game is, but I do know that he's got some speed. He can go north to south. He can go east to west, and I feel confident. So we're going to put this up on Twitter, but this is our fantasy draft of villains as football players. I've got White Goodman at quarterback, Charles Minor running back, the Grinch is my wideout, Frankenstein as my tight end.
Frankenstein's monster.
Pound, of course. Pound from Space Jam's offensive line, and the Joker at Hawk linebacker.
Yeah, and I got Darth Vader as my quarterback, Juggernaut at my running back, wide receiver Antonio Brown, tight end Christian Laettner, offensive line Bane, defensive end Thanos. We're going to put this out on Twitter.
Yeah.
You guys can vote there, see who wins. Whoever loses is going to eat this whole can of Skyline chili tomorrow live on the show.
I will not. I will not be
Look at this.
drinking
He's
that.
already scared.
If
He's
I
already
lose, I will
terrified.
not be drinking that chili. Hey, after this, we're talking KU volleyball. We're going to hear from Reece Ptacek and Ryan White on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
KU volleyball, a couple big matches this weekend, beginning tomorrow night with ASU, and then Arizona comes to town on Sunday. KU 9-5 in the non-conference. Excited to get Big 12 season started after 5 losses, all to top 25 teams in the non-con. Here's we're going to have Coach Matt Ulmer a little bit later in the week. We're going to hear from a couple players right now, Reece Ptacek and Ryan White. Here's everything they said a couple days ago.
What's it like, either of you just finally being back and knowing you got a home match on the schedule after being on the road so much to start off the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. It'll be my first home game in Horsh. Obviously, we played a little bit in the spring, but I can speak for all of us and that we're very excited. 14 away games has been awesome, very battle tested, a lot of experience for all of us that we get to use later on in our process. But obviously, we're just excited. You know, my family gets to come in, we get to see all of our family here, and all the fans cheering for us will be very fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it'll be great for our team to experience the home atmosphere. Having played against so many different away atmospheres, I feel like that's been an extremely great opportunity for us. But now to kind of really embrace the home crowd, I think will be great.
Reece, whether it's you or Reagan or whoever, what have you told these guys about what it's like to play in Horsh?
It's loud. Oh my gosh, is it loud? And it's fun. It's a great energy. And I mean, the band, they're so involved, and the band knows we appreciate them. So yeah, I just tell them prepare for a very loud, fun. I mean, they like to get not in our faces, but they're right there with us. We feel it. So yeah.
Is that something you've done, Ryan, you or Chris or whoever, to ask about what game that's
I mean,
like?
for
Have you guys
sure.
talked about that?
For sure. It's always been fun for me to experience the loud atmospheres, and I think we like to lean on that. Is whether it's the crowd is technically for us or against us, it's really fun to kind of use that as your energy. But I'm such an avid volleyball fan outside of our team as well. To watching last year, I saw multiple matches of their home games before I even came here, getting to see that environment where the fans are 10 feet away from you as you're playing. So I'm just stoked to experience it for myself.
Did that play any role for you? Obviously, you were headed to Oregon, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense to come with Matt. But did you, knowing about what's here, help make
for
that
sure.
easy?
For sure. Obviously, for me, the biggest thing was the staff. I'm such a learner. I just love learning, and I love the technicalities of the game and getting to see all of that. So having that as the basis was huge. And then I came on my visit here and knowing that they've always been a top program and they've always had the sellout crowds and the environment that loves to be here. It was an easy yes after that. So,
Reece, what was it like? Kind of the twists and turns and the ups and downs of that 14-game road slate that you just got done with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really showed who we kind of are as a team and kind of the progression we've been making for sure. Kind of starting off getting to know our offense, getting to know our defense, and merging those two and how it's gone together throughout these last 14 games. And now I'm really excited to kind of really now bring it all together to start conference. I mean, it's kind of like a new slate starting conference. So now we're just ready to go for these next however many conference games we got.
How much difference will the preparation be since you don't have to worry about travel day to get there, travel day to get home, but to be in place? How much do you feel like that's going to help with the learning curve? Because it's still first year program under Matt, and try to figure out exactly what he's looking for.
For sure. I think the practices, we know what to expect because we're always trying to get better at the same things. We're minimizing kind of the differences. So we get in here and the practice is the same whether they're on the road or they're here. But for us, it'll be our sleep and our preparation outside of practices. I think someone told me some crazy stat about how we'd spent 8 nights in our bed in the last 4.5 weeks, to a point where hotel beds were getting more comfy for us than our own ones. So it'll be really good for us to just be here, get good night's sleeps over and over and over again, have the food preparation, making our own meals, all those things.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Just kind of more the preparation on our personal lives, just how are we feeling outside the court? Are we good in school? Are we good with each other? Are we good eating? Are we good sleeping? I think that'll be major important for the rest of the conference.
Ryan, you've been around volleyball, the sport,
Yes.
college volleyball.
Yes.
But to be voted one of the captains after just a few months here, did that surprise you? Did you expect it in some small way? What was that like for you to find that out?
I don't know. I felt very honored. Honestly, that was my biggest thing is I feel like I'm a very social person. But to get in here and to feel like that and have something where we talk about being leaders on this team all the time. Every single one of us is a leader in our own aspect, right? And for us to be successful, everyone has to do their leadership piece. But it was really just an honor. Like, I honestly was like tearing up a little bit because it's so cool that you get to make connections like that with the team so fast. And to feel like I can lean on them and they can lean on me in the same aspect was really just an honor. So I'm glad I get to be here, and I'm glad that we have a team where we're all working together for this major process.
We didn't ask Matt, but I assume you guys voted. Is that how
Yes,
that
we
went?
did.
Okay.
We
Couldn't
did.
vote for yourself.
I don't remember the rules, but yeah, we all just voted. Yeah.
Kind of a similar vein, Ryan, you were recently the defensive player of the week, and you had 27 digs in a match. What was that like in South Dakota?
It was fun. I remember coming out of the game and not even really realizing it. I think that's what happens. Like, we talk a lot about too, trying to be in flow state as a team. Like, can we just get out of thinking a little bit too much and think about the right things? But I think it was so easy because that game was very well executed. That week as a whole was well executed by our team. So we served them off the court, right? We served them really well to the point where their only line of defense was an outside hitter or their pin attackers getting on us. And then Reece and Aurora and our blockers setting up a really great ball, like, made that line of defense easy for me. So my job was easy because of what we did as a team. But ultimately, I didn't really feel like it. Like, it just felt like we were in flow state working well together.
With all those 5-set matches, I mean, it can get pretty tough to, I guess spiral for other teams. You guys didn't. You kind of battled through that adversity. What was your mentality coming out of all those tough 5-set matches early on in the season?
I mean, I would say it was just like new game, new us. I mean, yeah, it was tough losing those 5-set matches, but we were like, we can't hang on to that and let it pull us down for the next game. The next game is just as important as the one from last night. So I think just kind of really refocusing the next game, moving on to the next day, realizing what we need to work on from the game before, and really emphasizing like, okay, we need to be serving harder, we need to be blocking better, we need to be being more efficient in kills. Like, I think really focusing on that helped us kind of move on. Okay, we might have lost the 5-set, but the next game we got it.
Yeah, I remember saying to the team at one point during our Penn State match, I think it was the end of the third set when it was kind of us taking it, and I said tough moments don't last, but tough people do. And that's something that we've kind of leaned on, is like, how can we be tough in all of these moments, right? 5-setters, whether you win or lose, like, are long games. They can end up being 3 hours. And then how can you, the feel of a loss to number 2 Penn State at the time, how can you come back from that and apply that to the next game? So everything for us is a part of our process, right? Like, we want to get down the road, and when we're away, we're going to feel more comfortable because we just had 14 away games and we had 5-set matches. So, like, we are putting ourselves in situations where everything that comes at us in the future, we're going to be prepared for.
Coach admitted that he's really demanding as he tries to lay this groundwork now, and he's loud in practice. He wants to make sure everybody understands this is the way we're going to do it, and he wants the offense to be better. He says it's not good enough now. So is it a tweak? What's the difference between where the offense is now and if there's a way to please him, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just really working on our shots, working on, okay, do I have the ability to make every single shot that I need to in a game? Can I go high line? Can I go deep cross? Can I make a tip shot to the 5 zone? It's all about working on shots and then working on our connections with the setters. Like me and Chris, I feel like we've really grown in our connection over these last couple of matches, and we're really starting to get it. So I think just continuing to work with each other. I mean, and it's a very new team. I mean, granted, now we're 14 games in the season, so we're getting it, but it's still just, can we continue to like build those connections with each other and just work better to see with what we have and how we can see, okay, block set up this way. How can I tool them? How can I score off of them? Where can I go to score?
Reece, what has that process been like of building connections with Chris and with Katie Dalton in the early part of the season?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, they're extremely great to work with. They're super easy to work with. And I think we've been getting a lot of extra reps outside of practice and just kind of really, okay, what do we need to work on? What's not working? And kind of how do we keep just building that? It's just a day-by-day process, and how can we get 1% better every day?
Reece, second time through the Big 12, you open with defending champions. But is there one game or one match that you're really looking forward to this year?
The K-State match in Allen. Like, oh my gosh, that is going to be such a great experience for us, I really think. And to kind of bring that back into Allen and see, can we pack Allen? I think that'll be a great experience. But yeah, I mean, starting off with Arizona State, I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. So yeah, I think I'm ready to get going with conference.
Anything else? Good.
Well, it's a Henry Greenstein revenge game tomorrow night.
That's
at
right.
Ulmer's. KU and Arizona State. Matt Ulmer's first matchup in the Big 12, but a couple familiar foes to get his conference season started. ASU and Arizona, of course, from Ulmer's time at Oregon back when everybody was in the Pac-12. Hey, after this, some Thursday night football game picks on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Of course, tomorrow we're going to have Brian Haney on the show. We'll have Sports Stock Market. You're going to hear from Lyric Rawls, Matt Ulmer as well. KU football is taking on Cincinnati Saturday at 11. Coverage starts on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield at 9:30. Excited to be back at the booth for an early morning affair. The 10 points KU held West Virginia to, the fewest they've allowed in a Big 12 game since 2007. Hopefully the defense can keep up. Thursday night football tonight, Dan, in the desert. Arizona hosting the Seahawks. Cardinals are plus 1.5, over under 43.5. What are you doing?
I like the Seahawks here at minus 1.5.
No,
Under.
no.
Oh,
You
you
take,
know-
no.
You don't take the point?
Well, you don't. They're not offering you the point.
Oh yeah.
Minus
So I get
1.5.
them 1.5. Or no, do I get them money
Take it
line?
with money line. 'Cause
Take a
what
money
if
line.
they win 16-15?
Seahawks money line minus
you go.
125.
There you go.
Under 43.5. Kenneth Walker to score a touchdown.
I'm going flip ski of you, Cardinals. I'm taking that point. Give me the plus 1.5, and I'm also going to take the over 43.5. I think it gets kind of weird. I think Kyler Murray has a weirdly good game tonight. But yeah, they don't have James Conner, so very interesting. But yeah, we're going to have Haney on the show. We're going to have Sports Stock Market, and excited to bring that to you tomorrow, a special Friday edition of Rock Chalk Sports. For Easton John and Elijah Schmidt running the operations, for Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman saying we'll chat with you then. KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City.